Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you might be in the world. This is Northwest UFO Chasers radio broadcast, brought to you by writer, author, researcher, producer Gregory M. Voles. Tonight's episode, Therianthropes, half man, half beast. Have you ever felt like a dog? Have you ever felt like maybe an elephant or a hippopotamus? Or did you think you could talk to the dolphins real easily? Anyway, we're going to get into this subject matter, and we're going to talk about ancient cultures and civilizations, therianthropes, and all kinds of interesting stuff. Stick with us. We'll be back right after the break. Okay, so what I want to jump into and start talking about right away is make sure that you understand that the companion timeline on the Northwest UFO Chasers website, which you can Google that website, or it's nwufochasers.com. And on that website, of course, it's a video library, and you can watch any one of a number of videos. But basically, under the aliens menu selection is the companion timeline. And that timeline is basically what we are generally looking at everything from a huge perspective. And I'm going to kind of briefly go over where we're at right now. It turns out that we're looking at about 4.55 billion Earth years. And all the dinosaurs in the Triassic and all those, Jurassic periods and of time were basically from 4.5 billion all the way up until about 4.5 million or 5 million years ago, when there was a being called an Australopithecus. But he was in competition with other beings on the planet at the same time, basically Cro-Magnon. And Cro-Magnon disappeared. We don't know what happened. But where this becomes important as far as Therianthropes is concerned is it turns out that after being in communication with the alien intelligence, they have communicated that we are a planet of beings that have been genetically modified, and we are slowly being genetically modified to basically extend the life expectancy of this species of alien intelligence. So we are basically related to them because they have modified us, but they have modified us so that they can move us from planetary body to planetary body depending upon the atmospheres of those planets. So this is what we're really talking about, is that when this alien intelligence came to the planet Earth about 4,000 to 5,000 years ago, which is only one time period they came, because they've been coming all throughout time because they can move interdimensionally and hyperdimensionally and beyond time. But when they came at that point in time, they did genetically modify us and were experimenting with what are known as the human natures. And that is why we see the heads of certain types of animals. In other words, ram's heads on lions' bodies would mean a human nature of this particular type. And but they were doing some heavy-duty genetic modification, and they were experimenting, and they did create creatures that are in modern day mythology. One of them, quite well known, is the Minotaur, who is a half man, half bull. And they won't tell you this, but they found bones in the bottom of a huge serapeum, basically a granite sarcophagus, if you will, that's got a measurement that of micromillimeter. In other words, if we were to stick a piece of paper underneath a ruler and light were to come through where that paper was stuck and we pulled the piece of paper out, that is how finely machined these solid, polished granite blocks are put together. And we do not even have equipment that can lift this uh, sarcophagus up and out. It's too heavy. And but anyway, Therianthropes are very, very, the term Therianthropy comes from the Therianthrope, and it's part man, part beast. It's from the Greek, and it means human being. It was used to refer to animal transformation, basically, but this is a gradual transformation from one to the other, giving consciousness. And so we have to think about what and how we exist within this conscious state of the universe. And I'm going to leave it at that for a moment. We're going to come right back. Stick around. You're going to want to hear the next part because it's going to talk about something extremely interesting. Stick around. Okay, let's see, where were we? We were talking about DNA manipulation and genetic modification. And the question that arises is that man's genetic sequencing shown to have been determined through scientific evidence to have been genetically manipulated years ago. And as a creator species or a genetically modified and enhanced species, I find it interesting that basically about 5 million years ago, until about 40,000 years ago, we pretty much considered hunter-gatherers. We were running around killing animals all over the place, but something happened about 40,000 years ago to wake man up. And this was that injection or that alien intelligence that had come to the planet Earth. And it is written into the folklore and the mythologies of many things. One of the ones that I can point to is the ancient Sumerian culture and the Anunnaki. And Zecharia Sitchin talking about how this the beings, the alien intelligence, came across the universe and basically on a planet Nibiru and came to the Earth. But they were godlike, or small god, godlike creatures. They had great abilities, but they needed gold to mine to basically fix their planet's atmosphere, and so they were mining gold on the Earth. And they got tired of doing it for themselves, and they thought, why not create a creature that can mine the gold for us? And so what they did is they took an Australopithecus, and they genetically modified him, and they got him, and as they were modifying him, his human nature was of one, it wanted to kill if they went too far one way, and if not, they could make him somewhat docile and do what they wanted him to do, which was mine the gold. And so they were creating mine workers, and they were writing this into the mythology. And they didn't want to have to monitor everything, so they created kings, and they put these kings over the kingship. And you can look at stories like Sargon and evidence biblically of these kings that were in touch with this alien intelligence. And getting back, though, to the DNA manipulation and Therianthropes being half man and half beast, there could be a link from the stories handed down from ancient times surrounding these so-called godlike creatures. And it does seem to make sense that maybe an alien intelligence or an alien race came to our planet and genetically manipulated an ape-like man and gave him thought. Or does the hand of the one true God really exist through the scientific evidence? Let's think for a moment about what we are saying. I know and now point to the Bible as a purely historical record of text of story handed down from the last 6,000 years. Could it be that Adam, or Adamu as they point out, and Eve were simply genetically modified with what I call awareness of self? Could this have been God's plan? It seems rather simple when we bring it into context to see the 25,000 to 15,000 year before Christ time period in reference to the ancient Atlanteans experimenting with our DNA in order to make us more docile as a species. So they may have created an intelligently advanced race that could genetically modify And again, we're looking at this. We don't have all the answers. We have some of the answers. We have a bigger picture. We have the Atlanteans, the Lemurians. We have a people. Were they truly related to us? We don't know. But I do want to say that it does look like over a long period of time, we have been modified. I know for a fact that I was abducted and genetically modified, and that I can now telepathically communicate with an advanced race of beings who I've termed the Andromedans or the angels. They are ethereal in nature, and I don't want to go into too much detail about that right at the moment, and I will in later chapters. But it is turning out that we as a species are living on a planet, and there have been conjectures and theories somewhat about the zoo theory, like we're in a zoo and they're watching us and they're keeping an eye on us, you know. And I do believe this, you know, we are in a zoo. They are breeding us, they're changing us, but they're also coming, getting us, extracting us, and taking us to other locations inter and hyperdimensionally throughout the universe. And that corresponds with the ability of to gain control over your endocrine glandular systems to basically resonate through frequency certain points of the body, and learning how to control that resonancy through meditation. And ultimately, you know, there's the pituitary and the thyroid, but there's the pineal gland, and the pineal gland will ultimately open dimensions to the inner world that you never knew existed, and they all correlate, and you can begin to see how you can manipulate time, essence, atomic molecular structure, levitate, heal the human body, many fantastical things. It's all coming up. We're due for an enlightenment in the year 2012. There is buried evidence. I highly suggest that you go to the website, load the companion timeline, look through it, select on the right-hand side those videos, watch them, make conjecture, come and join our group at Northwest UFO Chasers on Facebook, which is right on the main page. Twitter with us a little bit, and just let's have a lot of fun. But we are capturing translucent orbs that are flying around in the atmosphere, and we are capturing alien intelligence correspondence through military-industrial complex black operational programs. We know things are going on. We're not standing for it. We're asking for disclosure, but we're starting to see that there's a big change in the requested disclosure. It's not just a disclosure to disclose little green men on some planet somewhere. This is a bigger picture. This is the conscious state of the existing universe. And this has to do with the manifestation of what you may want in your life. So let's leave it at that. We'll come right back after the break, and we'll see you then. Thank you and good evening. This will conclude Part 8 of Northwest UFO Chasers radio broadcast. God bless, take care, and I look forward to seeing you. Stay tuned and look for Part 9 of Northwest UFO Radio